Here, and she joins us now. Hi there, Esme.
Hi, Amelia. Well, the transgender community here is reacting with anger and even fear. State Representative Leah Thomas says one of the big issues is how the new order fits in with Minnesota law, which has widespread transgender protections. Thomas says transgender people here and across the country plan to fight this presidential order in court.
There is no other thing for us to do except for organize, use the law, use public opinion, and fight against this movement. Otherwise, we're done for.
Whose house is this? Whose house is this? You chicken meatball-headed motherfucker. Whose house is this? Whose house is this? Whose house is this? Yeah, go ahead and kick me out. It'll be on every news organization in the country. You. Get you good glamour shots there, motherfucker. I remember the shit that you said on the floor. I remember the shit that you said, misgendering Leah Thomas, lying about us. Go f*** yourself. I can stand in here and yell all day. I don't give a shit. You want to drag me out? We're going to have a bunch of cameras on us, including that one, that we're going to put on all the news organizations. What? What? I can't hear you, what? Exactly. Shut the f***.
All right, so you just saw that crazy outbreak that's at the Minnesota State Capitol. And get ready. There's going to be more of this to come while everybody's talking about Jan 6 and whatnot. The fact that Donald Trump recognizes two genders has sent the trans community and the LGBTQIA community into an uproar. But when confronted with the simple question, which is, what other genders are there outside of male and female? People tend to stumble. I looked up online the other day, and do you know that they are saying that there's 72 different genders? And where did it stop? Where does it stop? It's like next thing you know, I mean, think about 7 years ago, 6 years ago. This was not something that we were talking about when Trump was coming into his first term at all. This was not a thing. And over the last 4 years under the Biden-Harris regime, they have forced it on us. And let's think about it. Y'all remember way back in the day, maybe in the 80s, in the 70s, the gay community had it rough. But I'm 46, and I'll say that over the last 20 years or so, man, most people didn't care. Love who you love. Obama came into office in 2008, legalized gay marriage. Nobody went crazy. You know, now what's crazy is watching the churches change up, because gospels be unchanging, but churches tend to change. But the churches accepted it, and people were like, man, whatever. And everything was fine. Then we got this thing where men that, you know, before people dressing in drag. Y'all remember RuPaul? The 6'5" black dude that had the hit show. I think RuPaul's still on TV. What about the rock group Twisted Sister that wore wigs and dresses? So people weren't, androgynous was the huge thing in the 70s and the 80s for rock stars. Prince, you know what I mean? You could take Michael Jackson and throw him in there. David Bowie, you know, many of other ones with this androgynous look where a guy might have looked super feminine and the women were looking hard and da-da. But what changed was when they wanted to start making transgender people to do story hour at our schools. What changed is when they wanted to start taking the drag show and putting that stuff in the military. What happened is when they started forcing it down our throats and they began to, you know, try to make us deal with this. So when those types of things started happening, there was pushback, there was resistance. Now, let's look at now. So Trump wants to make it easy because, you know, you got people that are choosing what gender they are on the spot. A guy could just be walking down the street, see a woman's bathroom and say, you know what, I'm a woman. Nobody knows if that person really feels like they're a female or if they're a pervert just trying to get in and get a sneak peek at somebody's daughter, granddaughter, somebody's mother, somebody's grandmother, somebody's sister, somebody's aunt. As a matter of fact, we found out that to be the case in a number of occasions. Or you got inmates, male inmates that are going to prison, deciding that they're a woman, getting, you know, identifying as a female, being put in the women's prison because they taking some estrogen medication, and they getting inmates pregnant. This is happening. Or you got people that have never wanted anything in their life when they competed against other men, but they could change up to be a woman and they're winning all the track meets. Do you know in Connecticut, I think there were like 17 transgender athletes that were winning first place and taking over everything? When you got young girls that worked hard to compete against other young women, but now they got to run up against a male who is incapable of competing against other males and feels good and powerful because they can beat up or beat women when they have certain natural things that men are born with, muscle structure, hips and whatnot. My wife taught me a lot. I didn't realize when girls turn 13 that their hips change and certain things, you know, adjust. I know that they go through puberty or whatever, but it's a real physical adjustment that happens. And so the fact that Trump recognizes this and everybody's trying to act like it's a big deal, when in reality it's normalcy. We're literally arguing on being normal. But you know where that's coming from? These left-wing, progressive, Soros-funded organizations and politicians. Because what in a person's right mind that has a daughter would have them say, yeah, it's okay for a man to come in while my daughter's changing? What is okay about one transgender person on a team that may have 12, 15 people, and this transgender male changes in front of the girls, or they have to change in front of them? You know how uncomfortable that is? You know how scarring that probably is? And I have a granddaughter that's growing up. I have a daughter. So this reporter, this journalist, was interviewing, I want to pronounce his name right, Poilievre. Forgive me for butchering his name. He's the gentleman that's soon to be the new Prime Minister of Canada, maybe. But he is based. And this reporter, this journalist, is going to try to trip him up. Check out how he deals with them. And it was a class act. But it's just crazy how you got people that are trying to inject this when we got open borders, we got economic issues, we got crime issues, and yet they want to spend their time talking about a situation that affects 1.5% of the population. Now, don't get it twisted. Every person's important. But the fact that they're recognizing only two genders doesn't mean that they can't still, a man can't wear his dress and walk down the street, or a woman can't put a mustache on and deepen her voice and walk wherever she wants to go. What it means is that when it comes down to things where biology matters, no longer can you cheat the system. You couldn't compete with males, so you feel good going over there and taking another girl, a young girl scholarship, that's out. Or what about in the Olympics? That big uproar and debate over the transgender boxer that turned out to be 100% male, rocked that girl, beat the life out of her, beat her up bad, and won a gold medal. What about Riley Gaines? Riley Gaines, the swimmer, who lost by a few tenths of a second to the transgender male. And guess what? We ain't heard nothing else about that swimmer, right? Now, Leah Thomas, I believe was the name of, let me see what that name was. If you remember what that name is, by the time you're watching this, we would already figured it out, but I got to look real quick because I want to know. Transgender swimmer. Hold on. Was it Leah Thomas? Leah Thomas. That was close. Leah Thomas, the 6'3" swimmer that was ranked 400 and some odd amongst the males. And the next year decides he's a female and is like #1 in the nation, winning everything. And Riley Gaines, who was 100% biologically a female, almost beat him. Almost. So that's their big thing. Oh, it's okay for transgender because some women can beat men. That didn't work out too well in boxing. Ain't work out too well in football. You don't see any women from the WNBA asking, can they get on the NBA roster? No, you don't see women saying, hey, I want to go to the NFL. You don't see women rushing to the front line of battle. You don't see those things. Okay? But we're looking at this. So check out how this soon to be, hopefully soon to be prime minister, because he is based. Watch how he handles this woke reporter. Check this out.
Let's go back to D.C. right now. Obviously, on his first day on the job, President Trump signed an executive order. The U.S. government only recognizing two genders, male, female. They're unchangeable. If elected as prime minister, is that something that you're going to kind of walk in line with, or what are your feelings on that executive order?
Well, I don't know. Do you have any other genders that you'd like to name?
Me personally?
Yes.
I'm just asking more so if you're in line with what he is saying. Do you agree with what he's saying? Is that something that you would be lockstep with if elected as prime minister?
Well, I'm not aware of any other genders than men and women. I mean, if you have any other you want me to consider, you're welcome to tell me right now.
Well, there's personally, I am a man.
Okay.
People who say cis man. There are people there who they say they're
cis man.
You are a man. Yes. There are people there who say they're gender neutral. Yeah, they say they're gender neutral. They're a trans person. Is that something that you would recognize?
Now look at how bad he's reaching. He asked him straight. He said, listen, I only know of two. If you know one, you can tell me right now. He goes, didn't even says I'm a cis man. I don't even understand that. What's the cis man part? or I don't even get it, or cis women. And it pisses women off, my wife and a lot of other women, to be called cis anything. They're a woman. And they went through a lot, from menstruations to, growing up, dealing with the hormonal changes that women go through, puberty, giving birth. And a lot of these folks that are quote unquote trans women, I guess, they're acting how they perceive women to be. Remember Dylan Mulvaney, the little transgender dude that ruined and tanked Bud Light. He had the days of girls. Then did a song, and in the song, it was all about popping pills, being stressed out, and banging different dudes that you don't know their name. That was so offensive to women. What I heard, they said, man, if that's what you think being a woman is, popping pills, having sex with random people, and being stressed out and shopping, that was another part of it. Get out of here, man. But even when this guy was put on Front Street, it was hard for him to even give a response. He said, I am a man. And Poilievre, like I said, forgive me for butchering that name, but I'm going to call him P. What P said, he was like, well, if you know of any, tell me. And then the guy said, oh, I'm a man, cis man. Dude was like, well, I'm a man. So there we have that in common at least. So, but he didn't say cis man, he's a man. I'm a man. So all of this, people going crazy about this stuff is just nuts. But check out how he handles this.
Guys here, whereas in the state, at least with their U.S. government, the way they're seeing it, there's only two.
I'm only aware of two, but if you come up with another list, then you're welcome to do that. But I'm aware of two, and as far as I'm concerned, we should have a government that just minds its own damn business and leaves people alone to make their own personal decisions. That's the kind of government I'm going to run.
And with that, the current government, they currently have passports that allow people to put on, gender neutral on their passport. Advocate groups want the government, mind you, the outgoing government, to ask the U.S., would the U.S. recognize these passports, obviously on their way out, if you are the next prime minister? Is that something that you would advocate for?
I have to be honest. Yeah. I have to be honest with you. I just saw your segment on homeless encampments that are popping up all over Toronto. We've got 25% of our population in poverty. Housing costs have doubled. Crime is rampaging through our streets. I just find it to be a strange priority to spend time talking about this. My priority is to give people back control of their lives and bring back Canada's promise that anyone who works hard gets a powerful paycheck and pension that buys affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods. That's the promise we need for Canadians. If Liberals want to talk about different labels for gender that they want to put on passports in the United States, they can do that. I'm going to talk about the things that will bring home the promise.
Okay, you know what? Let's talk about housing.
Based. That's how you handle that. Like a pro. He said, listen, man, I just saw your other segment. We sitting up here, we got homelessness, we got economic issues, we got all types of issues, and you want to talk about how people want to label themselves? And am I going to support what the U.S. said about there being two genders as if there's anything else? Man, that's how people need to take a lesson from him. Don't let these people get you off track and get you talking about stuff that doesn't matter. Most people, think about yourself. How many people do you know that just walked in and said, oh my God, I can't believe what's going on with this gender thing? You might hear people saying, damn, gas is high. Man, the groceries are high. Good grief, did you see that electric bill? I don't hear people going crazy talking about this. Because again, remember, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, this wasn't even a thing. So you have to ask yourself, what is their agenda? Why did all of a sudden this transgender thing become a thing? And if you look back throughout history, some of the greatest empires crumbled when the society became just so liberal and progressive that there was no morals, there were no values, there was no safeguards. And it was easy for another group to infiltrate and to take over. There was no unity. There was no foundation that their empires that was built on still held. There wasn't enough unison amongst the people. Why? Because everybody was doing their own thing. And that's kind of what was trying to happen here. And luckily, my brothers and sisters, you helped put a great leader back in the position to lead this country out of the darkness into the golden age. And I salute and I thank you for that. Salute you with both hands. But I just wanted to jump in and show this is just the beginning. And if you watch, the Democrats are going to freak out over every little thing Trump does. And you know what it's going to do? It's going to cause them to lose more viewers, more people. I mean, because MSNBC and CNN are already in the tank. MSNBC is literally being offered out and auctioned off for pennies on the dollar. Salaries are slashed of these quote-unquote journalists, which are nothing more than opinion journalists. You have to know this. Do you know that MSNBC is opinion journalism? That's literally what it is. So don't think these folks go out and do research. They don't. They take a topic and they give their opinions on it. That's how they're able to talk so recklessly. And not, I guess, and do the opinionated journalism under journalistic integrity. Now, CNN, they're more of they do some stories where they got people to go out and do some research and whatnot, but they're still a humongous propaganda machine. Remember when CNN really used to come with it? And I used to watch CNN faithfully. But then when I started seeing through the cracks and started saying, hey, this is not what I just saw, I just completely, I don't watch any of those outlets now. You know what I do? I watch actually congressional hearings, Senate hearings when I'm not training and I have the time. And why I do that, it's boring to other people. It ain't boring to me. Even if you just go and you go to Forbes on YouTube and you just see the clips. Because they'll clip up, and if one particular congressman or senator is your person, you can go and see the clip of their question, their dialogue. You can even see the people that they're speaking to, their responses. And you'll find out that, as you know already, most of those people are full of crap. They sit in there in those hearings, man, and they spit BS and they misrepresent. Then come out to the cameras and yada, do their same thing. But when I watch a news outlet saying, oh, this, that, but I actually saw the hearing, I saw the questions, I heard the answer, you start realizing, man, these people aren't reporting 90% of what's really going on. And you may or may not know this, but in 2016, while leaving office, President Obama legalized it for media outlets to lie to you, to use propaganda. And it's funny they were doing that right as Trump was coming in, which is how a lot of these stories, Russia, and all this other stuff about Trump is flat out lies. And you say, how can they do this? Because they do it under the tag of journalism and under free speech, which also is what they were trying to suppress. Ain't that funny? They don't want Trump or anybody attacking them for the lies and the defamation they do under free speech. But yet, if you're not on their team and your speech isn't, giving them the props or the highlight or the shine, the glow like they want it, all of a sudden they want to suppress you. It's rules for thee and none for me. But hey, listen, this went longer than what I even expected for. It's getting started. Transgenders are taking over the Capitol. Now let's see if there's any outrage over them going there with bullhorns and cussing people out at the state Capitol, since J6 was such a big deal. Let's see. And you and I both know what's going to happen. But and shout out to Poilievre. I promise next time I do a video I speak on this man, I will have the pronunciation of that name right. But other than that, hey, listen, on this channel I share sales strategies and political and current event topics. And if you did enjoy this video, please hit that like button. I'll never ask you for a cash app, never for a super chat, but your like is currency. It helps spread and disperse the video to other people. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And when you do, immediately hit that notification and select all. Hit the notification bell, select all. That way you'll be updated when I upload new videos. Other than that, I'm Brian Maxwell saying, listen, appreciate you stopping in and watching, and I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out.